Aloha everybody, welcome back to the channel where I strive to help you make better WordPress websites for yourself, your community, and possibly your clients. I'm Chris Joels, and today I want to introduce you to Advanced Custom Fields, probably one of my favorite plugins that I use for WordPress development. Advanced Custom Fields allows you to create input fields in the back end of your editor when you're creating a post, a page, a template, or a portfolio, or a custom post type like that. It allows you to put special input fields in the back end, such as text fields, link fields, images, date pickers, and so on and so forth, and much, much more. Advanced Custom Fields really allows you to customize the back end of your WordPress and change the experience for yourself as an author or your client as a blogger. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to use Advanced Custom Fields, show you what they have to offer, and then show you how to use your first text field. It requires a little tinkering around in the back end, and then you have to get into the code and input the code. The great news is that a lot of modern template builders such as Divi that I use allow you to go in and use Advanced Custom Fields without ever touching your code. If you're interested in something like that, check out my video. Otherwise, let's get down and dirty and get started. Okay, so first things first, we need to download the plugin. As you see here, I have Advanced Custom Fields Pro installed. Everything I'm going to do in this video, you could do on the free version as well. So you could come over here to add new and just search ACF for it. And you'll see there's a bunch of extensions that you could get for this plugin, but what you're going to be looking for is this greenish looking one, Advanced Custom Fields with 2 million plus installs. You want to go ahead and install it and activate it to advancedcustomfields.com. If you're watching this video, you're probably new to Advanced Custom Fields. Just kind of want to give you an idea of what it is that it does. Basically what it does is it adds custom fields to your post. Now, a post can be a page, a blog post, a portfolio post, an event post, an image is a post. There's all kinds of posts in WordPress. You could also create custom post types, and if you're interested in that, I'm going to have a link to my video when I have that published. So basically, a blog is a post, okay? And let's say on every single blog, you obviously want a title. But let's say you also want to add like a background color, some text, an image, and different things. What you want is custom fields. There are lots of instances where you need custom post types. If you were making a custom portfolio, for instance, you would need to title the portfolio, download some images, maybe have a link to the website that you created, etc., etc. So we want to get these into our post while we're editing them. And that's what I have here. So I have here a post. It's just a regular basic blog that has a title and my post. So let's say every single time I write a post, I want some custom content in there. So the example that I'm going to be using is I'm a writer and I'm writing a review for a product. And at the end down here, I want something like my final words and a link to the product. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create that custom field and to show it when someone is reading the blog as well. So let's get started with adding the custom content. Okay, so now we're in the back end of our WordPress website, and we're going to come over here to custom fields, and you will see that they have here field groups. Now, field groups are just basically a collection of custom fields. For instance, down here, you could call this a field group. All these are connected to something called my fields, okay? And so what we are going to do is create a new field group by selecting Add New. And we're going to give this group a title, and we're going to call this Author's Notes. And this is where we would add our fields. From down here, we could add fields like text fields and link fields, image fields, etc., etc. What I like to do first is go through these settings and make sure I set up my field group. So let's just go through these settings real quick so you could understand how to set up your field group. Where we want these field groups to show up will determine where they're going to show up on our back end. We could have them show up on a post. We could have them show up when we're creating a new portfolio. We could have them show up when we're creating a new page. So this is going to say that we want this to show up on a post type, that is equal to post. See here, you could choose page. So you'll see that you have different options. You could post to a template that is equal to, and then choose from your templates. You could choose a page template that is equal to whatever page template you have, and they will show up when you enter the editing section of those pages. Okay, so we are going to select just a normal post that is equal to post. This will show up on a regular blog post. So down here, we want it to be active, yes. The style is going to be in a standard WordPress meta box. That means it's going to be wrapped in these little boxes right here. The position is after the content. You could have it up on the sidebar or high after the title. Label placement, which are basically like your labels right here. We're just going to leave at top aligned. Instructions, you could have instructions for this field group, and we're just going to leave it to below labels. Order, you could change the order in which your meta box appears. So for instance, these are in a specific order, 1, 2, and 3. You could change that order here. You could create a description for your field groups. And this is another cool one that I'll show in another video, that you could say, you know, on that post, I don't want to show these boxes, these WordPress meta boxes, and they won't show when you're editing this particular type of post. So we have our field group and we have our settings all good. And we are going to select our first field. So we're going to come over here, select add field, and we need to give this field a label. This is the name which will appear on the edit page. So the first thing that we want from the author on this blog post is their final words. We're going to give it something easy to call, and we're going to call it notes. And we're going to go ahead and capitalize this. Now, this is just a label. So this is just going to show up like this label right here. And it can be capitalized and however you want it styled. When you come to the field name though, however, you have these rules, which is a single word, no spaces. Underscores and dashes are allowed. And I recommend if you just are in this box and you press tab, it will automatically input it with lowercase letters. If you had something like an extra word, let's say you had final words and you press tab, you'll see it will do it in all lowercase and with an underscore right here. And that's how you want to treat extra words. So again, no spaces, single words. And we're just going to use notes to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so this field type is going to be a text. You could choose a text area, but let's just say we don't want this to be very long. We don't want a paragraph. We just want maybe a one-liner, so we will use a text box. Should be fine. Instructions. So these are instructions that will show up when the author is creating and adding this data. So we will say something like your final words here. So you can make this required. The thing is though, if the author doesn't put something in this input field, then they won't be able to publish this. So you want to be careful where you use this, okay? So we're going to keep it not required. So setting a default value is what will appear in this box when the author goes to that, edit that page. Like let's say every time you want it to say no thoughts. Every time the author comes to that page, this is going to be the default inputs. So this will show up when you are creating a new post. Placeholder text is just something that will show up in the field, but it won't necessarily be posted when you press publish. Okay, so you could just put something like that. Finally, you could prepend and append items or text before and after your input. You'll see that, for instance, here I have a blank field. I could have it say something before the field and after the field. Let's say this field was a number that you wanted your author to post every single time. So you could say something like, I have bought this item. This is where your author is going to input the number, let's say 10. And then after here, you could say times. Okay, so it's kind of like giving extra instructions to the author, the editor of this post. So let's just go ahead and put something here so that you could see where they show up in the post. So we'll put this is before and we'll put this is after. You could create a character limit here as well. So if you didn't want this author to accidentally put in here paragraphs and paragraphs of text, you could limit that here. Conditional logic is something that I will explain in an additional video, but basically if you have more than one fields here, you could create conditional logic where this field doesn't show up unless another field satisfies a specific condition. So that's our settings for this field. And when you're done with that, you could go ahead and close your field and add more fields. We're just going to keep one for now. Also, you could see from here, you could edit this field, you could duplicate it, you could move it, and then you could delete it. So if you have multiple fields here, you could come over here and you could drag and drop the order in which you want them to appear. So after we've added our field, set up all our settings, we are going to press update. This would say publish, but I had already published this earlier in a test that I did. So if we come back over here to custom fields, you'll see that we have our field group author's notes. All right, so let's go see where this takes effect in our website. So let's just go over to post. And you'll see here I have a post that I already have set up, started. And what we want to do is see what it looks like when we create a new post. So let's just go over here real quick and create add new post. And you'll see I could create a regular post like usual. And down here you will see our new custom fields. You'll see it's called author's notes. Here's our label. Here's our instructions. This is what's going to show before. This is what's going to show after. This is what's going to show if you don't press anything or don't add anything, okay? And if that was deleted, you'll see it will say, please add your thoughts here. We could close this as well. And from here, you'll see we could even go to edit this field group, and this will take us back to the settings that we had. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this post. And what I want to do is come back into this post that I have already started, and we're going to select edit. And you'll see I have my title and my dummy text here. And you'll see I have my author's notes down here. To make this simple, let's go back and get rid of all these extras, this stuff like the before and after. So we're going to come back into our field group. We're going to press edit. We're going to go into our field that this stuff is in. We're going to go ahead and come here. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete this. Let's just go ahead and delete all this. All this stuff I would usually keep empty anyways, okay? Except for maybe your instructions. That's nothing wrong with that. So let's update that. Come over here, refresh our post. You'll see that it's been updated down here. Okay, so our final words are going to be something very clever like I love this product. When the author is done with that, we will press update. Let's go and view our post, and you'll see that our custom field has not shown up on our front end. And that is because we need to now go into our files and input this into our files so that they show up on the front end. Now, if that sounds scary, don't worry. I'll link above when it's published a video that I have that will show you how to use advanced custom fields within theme builders like Divi, which I use, and all the other major theme builders use this, to where now you could input something like your title and your custom fields straight from your theme builder, and you do not have to go into your theme files at all. So that's really cool. It's really powerful. Check out my video when it's published to get started with that. For now, if you are into WordPress development, getting into your files and getting dirty is just something you have to do. To get this to show up into our regular blog post, we are going to go into our WordPress files, and you'll see I have my files are on my computer. You might have to go through FileZilla or your FTP file transfer. So go ahead and get to your files. This is our WordPress website. We could come into content, into themes, and you'll see we have our 2020 and we have our child theme. Our child theme is what we have active right now. If I were to come in here and change any files in my 2020 theme, and then I go and update that theme, those files will potentially get all erased, and all my custom code in that file will get erased as well. That's why we have child themes. Check out my video on child themes and how to make one. But what we do need is a file in here. So let's go into your 2020 theme, or whatever your parent theme is, okay? Mine is 2020. And I'm going to grab a singular post, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to get out of my parent theme. Now I have set up a child theme. A child theme basically just has to have a style sheet and a functions PHP file. So what we are going to do is add this singular PHP file. And whenever I edit this file, it will now show up here on my front end. So let's go ahead and open this up, these three files up in our editor. And you'll see I have that here, my 2020 child theme with my functions, singular PHP, and my styles. So this is a basic loop for your WordPress blog post. And what we want to do is create all this code inside the main content. So I like to leave myself some room. So before we get started with this, let's head on over to advancedcustomfields.com once again. And we want to go over there to their documentation. And this is a great page to leave open and have open when you're working with Advanced Custom Fields, to come in here and get all your different help and input. Great articles, and shows you how to use your field types and functions and actions and much more. So let's just come over here to our field types, and you'll see we have all our different field types that we can use, and we are currently working with the text box. So let's go ahead and click that. And you'll see here, it will go through all the instructions, the options that you have on your settings page that we just went through. And once again, it has it down here. And it will show you examples of how to use these functions within your files to make your data show up. Okay. Now, this is just examples. There's many ways to write your code, but what you really want to know is how to use these functions like the field and get field. So real quick, since we're new here, let's just go back to documentation. Let's come over here to functions, and you'll see that they have created their own functions that you could use within your code. And the main difference between these is you'll see that these all say get field, and this one says the field. These all say get rows and get subfields, and this one says have rows, and this one says subfields, the subfields. All right, so real simply, these fields, the get fields, are just functions that are going to go and get the specific field, the specific data in that field. All right, it's just going to go collect the information. The field is what's going to display the information. Okay, so same thing here. This is going to get your layout. This is going to get your rows. This is going to get your subfields. This will show the subfield. It's pretty straightforward, and we're going to dive in to show how you use some of these. So once again, these are just collecting the data that's been inputted by the user, and this is going to show the data. Let's go back over here to our text input field. Scroll down here, and let's just go ahead and grab this whole code right here with the H2 tags. We're going to copy this, come into our post editor, and we are just going to paste it right there. Now, this is saying to show the field that we called notes. Now we know H2 is going to be way too big. Let's just keep it simple. We're going to press save, come back over here to my post on the front end and refresh it, and come down here and you'll see here is my input. Let's just go back to our files, and you'll see in my styles I created a class called post reference with some styles here. That is because I want to go ahead and wrap this in a div that I'll create here with code that I have pasted off screen. And we'll clean it up here, and you'll see it basically just, it's going to help visualize this a little bit better. Okay, so let's just save this, come back to our post and refresh it, and you'll see it's placed in this little box. So we basically just used their function, the field, and called forward our notes field. This is the most basic way to get something to show up on your front end. And that's all good, but let's say this user didn't make any extra comments. Okay, so let's go back to our post, and we're going to edit our post here, and let's say this author didn't write anything here. Okay, so we're going to update this, come back to our post, refresh it, and you'll see we have this empty box and everything that was styled here for this author to fill out. And we don't want this to show up if this field wasn't filled out, right? So let's just go ahead and put some PHP before our code here. So this is going to say so get field, this is where we're using the get field function now to say it's going to look in this field and see if there is something in the notes. And if it does, it's going to run this. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this PHP down here with an end if. All right, we're going to save this. Well, first we're going to clean this up first. And we're going to save. And when we refresh, you'll see that when this author has not put anything in there, that box will no longer show up. And finally, what we want to do is add our notes. We always want to write notes for ourselves about our code. We'll do something like displays author's notes from post. So we'll just create this as a comment. Okay, so that way you know that this is what that was used for. So let's just press save. Let's just try this one more time to make sure this is working. We refreshed it here and we've got no input. Edit post. We will put some input. We will update it. Come back, refresh it, and there you go. There is some input. Now in here, you could do something like add title tags and so on and so forth to customize this. So let's just go ahead and do that now. Let's just go ahead and create this and make this into a paragraph, okay? And then what we also want to do is have here an H4, and we will call this, let's save it, refresh it, and we want to put that inside this div right there. Save it, refresh it, and you'll see, here we go, we have it right there. And that is how you get started with advanced custom fields. In the next video, what we are going to do is add a link to this box, which will give the author more inputs here. So join me for that one. And there you go. You've made your first custom field with advanced custom fields. In the following videos, I'm going to show you how to take advantage of advanced custom fields and their many field types, along with the pro version that offers up even more possibilities. So don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Aloha.